Every garden needs a grand garden entrance or a garden arbor to walk through. It just does something for your mentality. It does something for the beauty of the landscape. And what I did here is I used what's called a cattle panel or a hog panel, and I just bent this over to create a nice entryway, and I secured that using these T-posts. I just put one on each corner, and then I used a little bit of rebar tie to connect that. You could use anything, and that's what got the structure built. From there, I planted a wisteria, a Chinese wisteria, on either side of the trellis here, or the arbor. And you can see now over the years how it's filled in beautifully. So now we've got this natural looking, just beautiful, rigid, strong trellis. This is going to last forever. And that's the one thing about building maybe a wood trellis, the amount of work, labor, cost that goes into that. And then also the fact that over time, chances are it's probably going to rot, start to break down. I really am a big fan of using these panels to create an arbor. So where do you find these panels anyway? Well, many Lowe's stores actually carry them. Also, if you can find a feed store or a Tractor Supply, they usually have them on hand as well. The challenge can be, how do you get them to you? They're 16 feet in length. They're kind of awkward to handle, so you're going to need either a truck bed or a van. You can rent one for the day. And I'd recommend stocking up and getting a few if you go through that effort. But once you got them on site, they have many different uses, not just being used as an arbor. Now, I wanted to show you this. This is a T-post, a 5-foot T-post, and that's what I used to secure this panel on all four ends. You can find these at any hardware store, and they're easily driven into the ground using a T-post driver. So this here is the handy dandy T-post driver, and any farm gardener needs to have this on hand. It makes quick work out of driving these posts into the ground. It makes it safer because it's protecting your eyes from any flying metal. If you were to use like a sledgehammer, that's always a concern. But still, wear some eye protection and definitely some ear protection. It can get loud. So at this point, you can see how the wisteria has maneuvered its way all throughout the trellis. Is actually becoming one with the trellis in many ways. I could remove these posts, although I don't really know if it's worth the effort. I'll probably just leave it as it is. You can decorate these as you see fit. I've got some horseshoes that I found while I was excavating some of the yard. I've also got this old wheel off of some sort of machinery that I found at a yard sale. But get creative if you want. Here's another example. We've got some honeysuckle vine growing over the top here. So this will eventually weave its way through the entire trellis. Now in this area, I just use these little 3-foot T-posts. So it has some wiggle to it. It's not quite as rigid, but it's stayed in place for years now. And it's also helping to keep this fig tree here from encroaching too much into this entryway through the pathways. And it's also keeping this pomegranate tree retained as well. So it's a nice way to keep a little open space in your garden in different areas where you traverse through your garden. And here's yet another great way to use these panels. As you can see, I cut a section to length that I needed. I attached it to these 4x4 posts, concreted those into the ground, and now I've got a nice trellis where I can grow some cold hardy kiwis up. I also used some of the leftover scrap pieces I had laying around to create a trellis for my grapevines. I also used it as some fencing around my chicken run area, and you can see because the holes are quite large, all I did was add some chicken wire using some zip ties here to keep the chickens in if I need to. And this also works great as a trellis. You can see I've got some leftover vines here from some nasturtium that was growing up last year. There was also some cucumbers that made their way up the trellis. And here's part of the chicken coop where I used an old carport canopy to create a little enclosure for the chickens. And once again, use the paneling here with the chicken wire just to help wall it all in. Other than what I've already shared with you today, there are many other ways you can utilize these cattle panels in your garden. One common way I see them being used is as a structure to build a greenhouse, as you see here. So get creative, have fun with it, and if you have an idea or a way that you've been using cattle panels in your garden that you want to share with us, be sure to drop that in the comment section below and let us know about it. So there you have it, my friends. Just wanted to share that with you. I've had quite a few different comments come through on the channel wondering how it is I put this together. It's really easy. So with that, I want to wish you all a great rest of your day. Until next time, this is Dan from plantabundance.com. Take care. I'll be talking to you again soon.